Adversaries come out of nowhere, also known as enemies. Enemies come out of nowhere. It could happen anywhere, at school, at work, anything like that. It could even happen in your own neighborhood. It could happen at some event you go to or an activity that you go to, like karate class or something like that. See, adversaries come out of nowhere. And when they come out and they show their shells and they show their true colors, take advantage of that and jump the gate on that and just be like, all right, cool. Like, that's my enemy. But don't ever acknowledge that. You never acknowledge that your enemy is your enemy. When you notice that you have enemies standing around you, you could be surrounded by them. You could be in the middle of a circle of enemies. You never admit that you're surrounded by enemies. You don't do that. You just keep fighting. But you have to fight back sometimes silently, especially at work or at school or something like that, in college. Like, you just, enemies who start wars with you, when they really make a big mistake when they do that, because they're turning off the camouflage, you know. They're showing you who they really are. And when they're really doing that, what they're trying to do is they're trying to get a reaction out of you. They're trying to beat you mentally, psychologically. They're trying to get you, they're trying to provoke you into doing something to put you in a mental state that you're not normally in. And they're trying to get you to fly off the handle. And the best thing that you can learn from these people is that they're the ones flying off the handle. They're the ones that want to start shit. They're the ones that want to start beef and talk shit. They're the ones that want to flip out. They're the ones that are fucking losing their fucking minds. And they're acting cool and they're acting normal for the most part, but they're provoking you. And when someone's provoking you, they're not as cool as they act. They act cool, like they're in control, but they're not in control. They're rattled because they're on tilt. And in poker, there's a term called tilt. And that's how your enemies act when they're around you at work or at school. So the best thing you can do with these people is ignore them. You ignore them. You still do whatever you got to do, but you don't, you know, even if you have to work with them directly or talk to them directly at school or whatever you're doing in your activities, you still talk to them, but you don't talk to them any more than you need to, and you ignore them as best you can. And this is how your enemies go crazy, because they're trying to stir you up, and it's not working, so they're getting more stirred up, and that's how you conquer your enemies. That's how you conquer your enemies in the same room in a college or a high school. You could be in the same high school classroom with these guys, and you can beat them. You can beat them by being smarter than them and by not reacting. See, all they want out of you is a reaction. Usually a negative reaction. And if you don't react at all to these guys, then they don't get anything out of it. And I'm talking about verbal abuse and shit like that. I'm not talking about physical. If someone's actually punching you in the face, I need you to react, guys. But if it's just mental warfare, it's just psychological warfare, the best thing you could do is not react at all to them. And actually, if you can, with your other people in school, like, be positive and actually try to act like you're having fun and laugh and be in a good mood, because that'll really throw your enemies off, because they're not in a good mood, they're not in a good place, they're acting like they are, but they're not. So basically it comes down to acting in a way. Whoever's like, I'm pissed off too when that happens to me, but I'm acting like I'm happier than I should be, and that's how you really throw off your adversaries, by acting. You got to be a better actor in order to survive this shit.